Sean Tell here with undefeated super lightweight Emiliano Vargas. ¿Cómo estás, General? Uh,
Todo bien. There you go. I
okay.
like that, my brother. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
man.
like
It's
that.
always good to catch up with you, man. Fighting Bryce Mills as the co-main event of this Jaron Ennis, Xander Zayas unification fight in Brooklyn, in Barclays Center. We were just joking about how the Knicks might have the whole city burnt down by the time you get to the five boroughs, man. But
Real
yeah,
talk.
man. What do you think of this opportunity? You've been fighting in New York a lot for a Mexican
Yeah.
fighter. So
Yeah,
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 what
yeah,
do you think
yeah.
of this opportunity, man?
I mean, every time I've been in New York, it's been uh an amazing reason to go out there. I mean, last time I was out there, I got the 45, 46 second knockout there at the Garden, and then the prospect of the year behind me. I don't know what's in the air, man, but every time I step down in New York, it's something special. So I just can't wait. Bryce Mills is gonna come with everything in the kitchen sink, and I'm gonna show the world that I'm right there for title contention.
Now, your last fight with Quintana, he gave some resistance. He made it a good fight. Gave you some valuable rounds, man.
Yep.
What do you think you're finding as your identity as a fighter? Because I see you navigating and exploring and trying to
Right.
merge different styles in that fight. That it looks like you've
Right.
been studying. And what do you think is becoming your system and your identity as a fighter?
I think I'm finding that out as I go as well. I think there's no book on how to box. I think every time you step in the ring, you find something different and you find something different about yourself. So, I mean, this fight, Bryce Mills, like I said, is gonna come with everything. I'm gonna pull something different out of my toolbox and show the world that, man, I could box, I could move, I could counter, I could do everything necessary to win. And I feel like my father really, uh, having 3, 4 trainers and still being willing to learn really makes me so confident in not just my boxing ability, but my corner as well. So I'm very happy with everything going on right now. We even brought my Uncle Roger in, who's worked with Lomachenko and things like that. So I mean, I'm using angles. I'm seeing a different side of myself, and I'm very happy with, my camp this far, and I know we're gonna peak come fight night.
Well, you talk about different sides of yourself as a fighter, and you're emphasizing the boxing part and the movement and the
Right,
angles. But it looked like against Quintana in the second half of that fight, that's when you really debuted your pressure because you've been able
right.
to pull counter fighters, beat them with the speed, counter punch them. But that was the fight where you dug into the pressure side of the game. And what did you find out about yourself in regards to that in the Quintana fight?
I think all the road work, all the sparring, all the times that, I ran 10 miles instead of 5 because I knew he was running 5, all of that mental fortitude and toughness came out. And I know that every time I step into the ring, I'm facing the best version of whoever I'm fighting because of the opportunity. And I know Bryce Mills is going to come the same. So I know Quintana, um, he came with everything, man, and he wanted to show the world and upset me the way he did with Mark Castro. And I told my father and I told everybody else, I'm not Mark Castro. I'm not any of these other fighters. And that's no disrespect to him, but I don't play around about this. This is what I do. This is what I obsess about. And I'm a competitor at the end of the day. I want to win. It doesn't matter what it is. I want to win. So if another man thinks he can beat me, let's see. That's what the sport is about, and it's just such a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful violence. And like you said, I knew all the road work, everything that I put into that training camp, he didn't do. And that's why I stepped it up. If he would have came out for that next round, I would have stopped him. He was already wearing down. He was already touched up with the body shots. His face was, completely cut up. But the referee thought, his cuts and everything else was too much. So, what am I gonna do? Argue with the ref? I did my work. I did what was necessary, and I was able to pick it up where he took his foot off the gas pedal.
You said this sport's about other guys believing they can beat the other guy, and apparently, Bryce Mills definitely feels he could beat you. He called for this fight.
Yep.
What do you make of that? And what's he got coming his way in a couple weeks?
I mean, look, I wanted a former world champion for this fight. Obviously, we have to make things more enticing for those former world champions to want to take that risk. And I mean, I understand that a title eliminator or on a huge card, things that would entice them besides money, uh, was the case. And all I have to do is put myself in the position to do that. So Bryce Mills, the opportunity came, and I haven't ducked or dodged anybody, and I said, let's do it. Let's do it. So, this is going to show the world that, there's levels and that I'm right at the door of my world title fight. Like I said, after this fight, I would love a title eliminator or a former world champion. I'm ranked number 2 in the WBO,
Hmm.
number 12 in the WBC. I'm right there knocking on that door, so it's whatever God wants, but I just know that come fight night, whether it's a decision or it's a knockout, it's gonna be dominance.
Well, you talk about your level of opposition, right? Just now, and the opposition you want to face in the future, what level it should be at, and you just turned 22 in April, and despite having fast hands and talent and showing some really good flashes early in your career, there's a lot of criticism from the boxing world and boxing fans about the level of opposition, like you're talking about, and then just the like a general skepticism. How much of that do you
Right.
think is fair? And then how much of it do you think is you're being underestimated as a young fighter?
I mean, look, I'm not worried about what anybody in the stands has to say about my career. They're not the ones getting in there, and to be fair, I have a circle and my team that I trust. And, like I said, the good and the bad of my father's career, I take the good and the bad and I put it towards my career. But, regardless, we want those fights. We want a former world champion. We want those type of things. And I think, after this fight, it'd make it more enticing for these former world champions or for these opportunities to take place. So, I mean, what am I going to do? I'm not going to fight for, 6, 7 months because that we don't, people don't want to make a fight happen. No, I'm going to step in the ring. I'm gonna get the experience, and regardless, that's what we want after this fight. So regardless, I'm not gonna worry about what anybody has to say about my life, my career. I like I said, I have a beautiful circle around me, and I'm gonna continue to win inside of the ring, outside of the ring, whether it's a Super Bowl, whether it's being in a movie, whether it's uh doing whatever it may be. I just know that I'm gonna continue to win inside of the ring, outside of the ring because I serve a big God.
Yeah, you're number 2 in the WBO, like you mentioned, for Shakur's title. That would appear to be unfair, maybe even unrealistic to ask a guy who just turned 22, 17 fights in. Hey, you're becoming the mandatory for one of the top 3 or 4 or 5 pound for pound in the world. So when you're talking about wanting a former champion, what are the names you do have in mind? Um, following a Bryce Mills fight, which obviously comes first.
Honestly, anybody who's for me names, I would like I said, since before this fight, I would love the George Kambosos fight. Anybody in the 1 to 5 or rank, numbers, any of those guys. I
Lindolfo
just know that.
Delgado's number 1.
Yeah, yeah, I would love to do that. I would love to do any of those guys, not just the WBO or A or just any of those guys. For me, big fights is what it's about, and if we could do that, and I could show the world what I'm about, any of those guys. I know that after this fight, I would love to fight any of those guys, ranked for sure.
What'd you learn from and gate take from working with David Benavidez a few months ago?
For sure, combinations. I mean, he looked phenomenal his last fight. I called it. I thought Surdo was going to be too slow for him, and it showed. Just seeing the way he worked and he operated and how he pushed himself in camp really helped me out for this camp as well. His father was really open and was able to share how he trains and how he works, and it's really helped out my camp. I feel like they've been nothing but supportive, and I'm gonna learn from great fighters like him.
Am I tripping or some of that pressure from the Quintana fight, some of the looks to the style that had some Benavidez in it, or was not necessarily? Yeah, yeah. Was that a page out of his
I don't.
book?
Yeah, maybe. I know I had a guy who was wearing down, and I had to put the pressure on him. So regardless, we're gonna learn from that fight and every fight that's to come, and we're gonna show a different style every time we step in the ring, just because every fight calls for a different version of myself. So, and that's what makes me a better fighter every time.
The one thing that's special about David, and then even, another Mexican American fighter like Ryan and Boots and a lot of,
Yep.
they have that twitch, that
Mm,
it seems like you're either born with or you're not.
mm.
That's not exactly something you can make it better by, because I know
Right.
David trains that twitch,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
why he's
yeah,
doing
yeah,
those
yeah.
shoe shines and all
Yeah.
that. But is that something you have, and that's a big part of your game, and something that can make you fight at the highest level?
I think I'm blessed to have God-given ability. I'm grateful for that for sure, but God-given ability isn't gonna get you there all the time, like you said. Benavidez works on it, Ryan works on it, and the same thing that I'm doing. So, I mean, all I could do is be in the gym and be completely obsessed with what I'm doing, and I can't sleep at night because I'm thinking of combinations or I'm twitching or these different little things because I'm thinking about how I can be better in sparring the next, how I can, move differently. So I think that obsessive nature is gonna make me great in what I do. And like every other one of those fighters before they, became world champion, they were calling themselves great fighters. So I'm doing the same. I know I'm a great fighter and I'm gonna show it every time I step in the ring.
Speaking of Ryan, he said he talked his trash about you. It happens. This boxing, man. Did you see
Sure.
that? And what'd you think about all that on that
I
stream?
mean, I mean, uh, look, I got love for Ryan and his family, but it's boxing, like you said. So if he really feels that way about me, he could feel that way. I'm 22. I'm gonna fight a former world champion. Get ready for a world title. He just became world champion at 27. So, uh, eh, comparison is a thief of joy. I'm not looking at anybody else's career. What he wants to do, he's in his own world. He's in his own bubble. But I'm gonna win. I'm worried about winning. I'm not worried about what anybody has to say about my career or my fights or this and that. If I feel like I'm getting better or I feel like I need to do this, then I'm gonna do it. So, people can keep on talking, but if they're talking, is a great thing. So, I mean, one of the biggest faces in boxing, Ryan, has always something to say about me. So, we'll see. Hopefully, that fight could happen in a year or two. So all I got to do is get the experience. That's it. That's the only thing that I lack is experience, and I know that. So I got to put myself in the position to make those big fights happen.
Yeah, and he did say yet, so not he didn't mean forever. But anyways, you got to get out of here in a minute. So let me finish with this. You did the Super Bowl commercial with Xander Zayas, or commercial, the halftime show with Xander Zayas. He's an underdog against Ennis, and I know you know boxing to understand why that would be, given how
Right.
talented Ennis is, all his talent. But even with him being an underdog, all the talent Ennis has, are you picking Xander to win that fight? And how does he win that fight as an underdog in 2 weeks from now
I
in that main event?
I think he can win that fight. And I told a lot of these people that if he could come real tight like Miguel Cotto, real, real, real tight, not try to do anything crazy and work the body. I haven't seen anybody work the body on Jaron Ennis. Nobody. And look, nobody likes body shots. I don't care who you are. Oscar was dropped with a body shot against his own will, against Bernard Hopkins, like things like that. Nobody likes body shots. So I've been in there with some slick fighters like Jerome and that are sharp and things like that. You touch that body, they start fading. They start, now they're in the inside with you. Now they can't move as much. Now they're, so just based off my experience and things like that, I mean, I think he could get the job done if he goes the body real, real tight like Miguel Cotto. But all respect to Xander. I mean, he has two belts on the line. It's only, upside for Boots Ennis, and he still took the fight. Xander still put the fight together and, called for the fight. And I have nothing but respect for him. Win, lose, or draw, you got to give a different level of respect for Xander Zayas after that night.
Agreed. And appreciate your time, man. See you guys in New York,
Thank
and
you, sir.
have a good fight 2 weeks from now. Thanks for your time,
Thank you, my
Emiliano.
brother. Let's do it.